Hey, good evening, friends. Today, my friends, is Monday, June the 23rd, 2025, and the time now is 6:58 p.m. So, friends, I want to talk briefly about Iran and the United States, and I want to talk or provide a brief statement or comment pertaining to the situation between Iran and the United States. And this also relates to the fact that Iran is said to have attacked or retaliated against the United States, basically striking U.S. military base in Qatar. Now, friends, you are watching the playlist series, The Trends and Headlines in Geopolitics, and this is episode 39. Once again, friends, you are watching the playlist series, The Trends and Headlines in Geopolitics, and this is episode 39. So, friends, the news continues to roll. Many did not realize or did not anticipate that Iran would attack or retaliate against the United States attack on Iran on Saturday so early. Of course, everybody was waiting to see if Iran is going to attack and how Iran is going to attack. Now, news have been coming throughout the day that Iran did strike U.S. military base in Qatar. Now, friends, it is very interesting that this attack, it seems more to be a symbolic attack than it is a conventional attack, a conventional war attack. Let me go back to the whole situation relating to the war between Iran and the United States, how it started. We all know that since the situation had been occurring between Israel and the United States, Israel had requested that the United States strike Iran. From where things stand, the United States did comply. On Saturday, the United States attacked Iran. Authorized by Donald Trump without the consent of the Congress, the United States carried out military strike into Iran, striking 3 nuclear facilities in Iran. However, friends, it is said as of now that the attack on Iran was not important, it was not significant because less damages were done to the facility, even though Donald Trump had been going on a victory parade, been talking a lot that the United States attack on Iran was successful and all that sort of nonsense. Now, friends, my question is, as much as the United States Constitution only grant the President of the United States the authority to defend and protect the United States, and not the authority to wage war against any serving country without the consent or the approval of the Congress, why did the United States carry out an attack against Iran, which posed no threat against the United States? Perhaps it seems that this could have been another symbolic attack, as much as the attack is being said now by many prominent observers and scholars on international relationship that the attack was much more of a geopolitical / media / public relations activity. Basically, it was a fanfare attack on Iran. So, I want to know here, is it possible that Donald Trump, the Trump administration, could have notified Iran? Because it is said that Iran, prior to the attack, moved all of the nuclear materials and the important significant materials from the facility or facilities and stored them elsewhere. Of course, it is said that Iran had done that way long ago. However, there is possibly another reason. Perhaps, friends, the Iranian radar saw American planes coming into their airspace and did not retaliate. And the reason for this, it could have been that the Iranians were also setting trap. As much as it could have been the case that the United States was setting trap, fly into Iranian airspace, force Iran to retaliate, then strike back, strike hard at them, and spin the narrative, make it look like Iran had carried out an attack against the United States somewhere in the area, and the United States retaliated, and the whole thing became a hot war. But then if that is the case, perhaps the Iranians realize, let's not retaliate. We've already gotten all of the materials from the nuclear facilities. Let them retaliate. Let them attack us. In this case, by the United States attacking Iran successfully, Iran becomes the victim. In this case, the information warfare worked against the United States, because as we are seeing right now, there has been lots of criticism, whether we are talking about from the US government, the Congress, or from prominent observers and scholars on international relations, or from average Americans. Now, friends, I have observed that the best way to go at it at the United States is to force the United States to be, or to appear to be, the aggressor. Once the United States is the aggressor, the victim will have the escalatory dominance. In this case, the US government and military will be beat up by the American people, by social media, for their aggression. And you, the victim, appears to be the defender. Perhaps that's what Iran was doing. The United States could have been set in trap. Let's fly into their airspace. Let's force them to attack us. Then we be the victim. Then we can escalate fully with them. Iran flipped the script. They're already in our airspace. Let's pretend we don't know that they are there, especially since we've had no important, significant materials in the facility or facilities. Let them attack. We become the victim, and then we can escalate, because in this case we do have escalatory dominance. So in this case, what we are seeing perhaps between Iran and the United States is a form of reciprocal attack or strike or retaliation. It is said that Iran notified the United States prior to attacking or striking the military bases, American military base in Qatar. This is similar to what Iran did when Iran was first attacked by Israel. Or I think it's the second attack. Iran notified the United States to get its military assets out of the way, notified Israel. And as a result, what the United States and allies, the European countries, did, they basically set or positioned their strategic assets along the route where the Iranian missiles would have been coming from, which enabled them to intercept and destroy some of the missiles. And once that happens, the Americans and the Europeans and the Israelis begin to boast. Perhaps this is what this Iranian retaliation is. Iran notified the United States. The US got lots of its assets, or all of its assets, out of the base, and then the base was struck. In this case, Iran's retaliation against the United States aggression is much more of a symbolic activity or action than it is a conventional one. Now, friends, in terms of the situation between the United States and Iran, the Americans are using the whole idea, the concept of regime change. Now, we all know what regime change is. If you are to use that phrase against the United States government, regime change, you're going to die, they're going to kill you, or the FBI, the CIA are going to hunt your ass to the end of days or to the gates of hell. Because the truth here is, regime change basically means coup, an internationally funded coup. So when the United States and prominent observers and scholars on international relations or Westerners talk about regime change in relations to Iran or any other country in the global south, regime change basically means coup. However, the term regime change is a wordplay that many people around the world, or even in the United States, may not be aware of the meaning or the true intention. Therefore, I do believe many of us from the global south, we need to stop using the phrase regime change in relations to the US or Western narrative. We should use the actual term, the actual phrase of what it is. Regime change means coup, and it is an internationally United States funded, Western funded coup, the destruction of a country's government by the West in order to install a puppet that serves Western interests. Now, in terms of Iran, many are floating the narrative or the notion that the United States wants regime change in Iran so that the United States can install the son of the Shah the king or whatsoever of Iran that was deposed, okay, late 1970s. Another thing that is being put out there is the notion of the attempted or a planned assassination of the Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. Of course, the United States now is denying it, and many are denying it. Whether it is true or not, I believe that assassinating the Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, would be a terrible thing for the United States to do or for any country to accept, because the United States will not tolerate anybody even make such a comment directed at an American president. The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, he is not just a political leader, he is also a cultural leader, a religious leader, a cultural icon, a religious icon of Iran. His assassination could cause a problem for the Middle East, for the United States, and for the world. Because in this case, assassinating him will be an attack on the Islamic religion, especially an attack on Iran's sect of the Islamic religion, which could make life worse for all of us in the world, and for people in the United States, and for the United States as well. Now, friends, please tell me what you think, and I really want to know what you think. But friends, I am going to end here. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends. But most especially and most importantly, or important, I want to thank you a lot, my friends, for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace, my friends. Peace.